Welcome to Conflict and War Studies channel. Today we are going to talk on the Gaza peace process. As you know, a peace plan was proposed by American President Trump, and this plan is agreed by the regional and international actors. Then it was translated into a United Nations Security Council resolution, the Resolution 2803. The ceasefire is in effect since 10 October, but there are still serious problems on the ground. We are going to talk both the ceasefire situation and the prospects, the terms of the peace plan with my colleague, Veysel Biçer. He's a classmate of mine from the military academy. Veysel Biçer is a retired colonel from the Turkish Armed Forces. He served in key positions in Turkey and abroad. He served in the Balkans, in Afghanistan, and in NATO headquarters in Belgium and Italy. Welcome, Veysel, to the program, and thank you for accepting to talk and discuss this issue with me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's also a pleasure for me to have my classmates on the channel. So we can maybe start with the initial developments which led to the signing of the peace agreement. Then we can go and deep dive into the terms of the agreement.
Okay. But we have to put a starting point. I think the point is the 7th of October attacks conducted by Hamas against Israel, and they breached the border between Gaza and Israel, and they stormed into some civilian settlements, kibbutz, and one music festival. And they killed almost 1,200 people, mostly civilians. And they took hostage around 250 people, including the seized bodies of victims. But before coming to 7th of October, I will just shortly touch on the history of Hamas and Gaza. I will not go back to 1948 or 2000 years, but we may start at 2005. At 2005, Israel was engaged from Gaza. Before 2005, it was under the occupation of Israel. And at 2006, the elections has been done, and a coalition formed by Hamas and Al-Fatah. But the two sides started like a civil war between them. And then at 2007, Hamas ousted Al-Fatah from Gaza and took control all of Gaza province or Gaza Strip. Since then, Hamas is in control, first militarily, politically, and third is economically controlling the Gaza Strip. What I mean economically, they control all the economy, all the smuggling routes, and they control all the incoming humanitarian aid, and they had full control over the civilian population. And at 7th of October 2023, after they started such an operation against Israel, it's really not easy to understand political and military objectives of this assault. However, anyone can accept a big retaliation from Israel. And at the very beginning of the conflict, Israel has uh, some kind of public support from the international area because they have been seen as victims of a terrorist organization, and the number is huge. 1,200 people died. But Israel's operation is turned into a full destruction of Gaza. And after the first year of Israel's operations, and the international public opinion turned against Israel, but the governments still, some Western governments were still supporting Israel. So they continued their attacks. When we come to September this year, the situation was like that. Israel was maybe the loneliest, having the loneliest times in its history because of moral issues, because of international support. Since then, they have been receiving some kind of support from European countries like United Kingdom, France, and some others. But before the UN meetings on September 2025, those nations has declared that they are going to recognize Palestinian state. It was a big blow for Israel. And there was only two countries who were supporting Israel at that moment. The United States, the historical ally, and Germany for certain reasons, But there are a lot of big growing anger against Israel, and at that point, Israel was lonely. And on the military point of view, they were stuck at Gaza. The urban warfare has a trap. You can destroy all the buildings, everything. You can take it up to rubble or up to the ground, but it turns into a jungle for ground troops. You are not able to operate. You are not able to locate the enemy or their enemy, and they were stuck on the ground either. And there were two objectives when Israel started this operation. First is to disarm, finish Hamas, and another object is to get the hostages. And as I said, Hamas took 250 hostages. They were able to get 200 of them by several ceasefire attempts, but around 50 or 48 hostages, including 28 deceased bodies, were still under the hands of Hamas. And at that point, if you look at the Hamas side, yes, they lost almost 15,000 troops or gunmen during this fight. They lost very high command, but they are also losing the support of the local people because all Gaza has been turned into rubble. People starving, and they are moving one side to another for the escape of the Israel bombing, and they start accusing Hamas. And when we come to the 28th of September, each side was agree was happy to agree on a solution. And on 29th of September, Trump announced this 21-point peace plan in a press briefing. Actually, this plan has been drafted by Netanyahu and Israel, but of course there are many additional articles and paragraphs has been added by the sides. And before the announcement, I can easily imagine that there are a lot of discussions has been made within the regional actors, including Turkey, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and everyone agreed on this plan before the announcement of Trump. And the achievement of the plan is the second step is the Hamas. Hamas will agree on this or will not. From the very beginning, we foresee that Israel agrees on it, and the regional actors also. But there was a big question mark for the Hamas. So now we can go from this point. If you
Yes.
have any questions or
Yeah,
any
maybe
additional
I can
points.
say a few words on this. As you have also mentioned, that Israel gets stuck in the international arena because of the war crimes that the Israeli government and the Israeli military forces have committed. There was a severe reaction to Israel from all over the world. The European countries started imposing sanctions on Israel. The Israeli people, when they traveled to other countries, they faced serious reaction from the people where they traveled. So Israel was in a terrible situation, and maybe one of the reasons why they agreed on the ceasefire or the peace process is that they want to ease this tension. And for the Hamas side, Hamas is not a party, a direct party to the negotiations, and Hamas, as far as I can see from the developments, never agreed on the disarmament, but the regional countries pressured Hamas and still continue to pressure Hamas for the disarmament because it is one of the terms of the peace process, which we are going to talk.
I fully agree with you. I didn't mention the Israel internal politics. One of the main reasons bringing Israel to the table is the internal pressure coming from the families of the hostages and also far left wing within Israel. They always opposed against the Gaza operation.
Let's talk on the plan. What are
All
the
right.
main terms of the plan, whether it can
Yeah.
work?
What happens after the Trump's plan has been declared at the press conference? Trump sent a team to Sharm el-Sheikh to negotiate with Hamas and Israel, and the special representative and his son-in-law, and they start negotiations with Hamas and Israel directly between 5th of October and 7th of October, I guess. And at some point, the discussions couldn't go forward. And at that time, the Turkey's foreign ministry stepped into the stage, and they convinced Hamas to agree on this plan. I think the most of the reason of Trump back to Turkey and regarding the Gaza peace. And at 8th of October, agreement reached by two sides, Hamas and Israel. And three more countries became the guarantor, not a full guarantor, but a forefront negotiators. Yes, of course, they are Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt. And in a big show up at Sharm el Sheikh, Trump gathered not only these three countries, nations, but also all the majority of the European and Muslim countries together, and he emerged as a peacemaker. And yes, they signed a 21 point plan, but it needs to be legitimized by the international order. It goes through the UN and the UN Security Council, and there needs to be a Security Council resolution. Why? Normally, we all see that those nations can act unilaterally without any UN resolution, but this issue includes military intervention, financial intervention. That's why everybody was looking at United Nations Security Council resolution, and this resolution has been adopted at 17th of November. I always read Security Council resolutions very carefully. Why? Because just one sentence, just one paragraph, even one word can change everything, may destroy a whole country. Let me give you an example. During the Libyan crisis, 2011, and I've been working in SHAPE, and all the plans have been made for no-fly zone, and we were expecting a no-fly zone resolution from the United Nations Security Council. And the Council, after many discussions, passed a resolution number 1973. And Security Council resolutions has many paragraphs, starting with some words. There are many words: understanding, undermining, and
welcoming, endorsing,
welcoming, underscores, understands, whatsoever. But the most important paragraph is which starts with authorizes. Authorizing is very important. So at this At this Security Council resolution 1973, the paragraph starts with authorizes, mentioning many things about no-fly zone, uh, preventing the arms smuggling, and so on and so on. But there was only one sentence, and the sentence is authorizes uh, the participating nations to protect the civilians on the ground with all means, used by all means, which means that when you read it directly, you don't see anything wrong with this sentence. But it was the basis of bombing all the Libyan Al Jamahiriya forces on the ground and providing close air support. And like a carpet bombing in front of them. And less than a year, Gaddafi has been toppled. Only with this sentence, providing air support from the air to the ground to protect the civilians and civilian infrastructure or whatsoever. One sentence. So I always read very carefully those resolutions because it was the basis of intervention. And there are two paragraphs in this resolution, paragraph number 4 and paragraph number 7. Paragraph number 4 authorizing nations contributing to Board of Peace and the Board of Peace authorizing altogether, and the nations contributing to Board of Peace and the Board of Peace, two different things, and to form a transitional governance. And they describe the structure of this transitional governance. It will be consist of Palestinians, professionals, non-politic, and it describes the functions of this transitional governance. They have to deal with the day-to-day business and provide basic services to the public, like electricity, water, and whatsoever. And the second sentence is the reconstruction. This Board of Peace will be in charge with the reconstruction, which means it will make contracts, they will collect funds, they will create a fund for reconstruction of Gaza, and they will make city plans or whatsoever. Whole reconstruction issue. The other sentence is the humanitarian aid. They will kind of coordinate the humanitarian aid and so on. And there's an interesting sentence is that this Board of Peace will facilitate the people's movement in and out of Gaza. What does that mean? It's a very blur sentence. It will facilitate the movement of people in and out Gaza. We will see, and some other additional tasks. The paragraph number 4 describes the establishment of Board of Peace and the other things. And the paragraph number 7 is solely related to international stabilization force. It's quite important. And we all know that you spent years in the military and international operations. And if there's no safe and secure environment in some place, there will be no reconstruction, there will be no transitional governance or whatsoever. First step is to uh, provide people a secure environment. So this force is quite important. And ISF, ISF, uh, the, the paragraph starts with yes, first the BOP, Border of Peace, is in charge of setting up this ISF. And ISF will be set up in coordination and cooperation with Egypt and Israel. And Egypt and Israel is mentioned at another paragraph, and ISF shall work with Israel and Egypt. There are two border countries with Gaza. The one is Egypt, the other is Israel. It may seem natural to work ISF with Israel and Egypt. However, it doesn't mean that. It looks like an approval, which means uh, the Israel and Egypt will approve the countries which are going to contribute troops to this force. And also, this critical sentence is mentioned in this paragraph: to use all necessary measures, to use all necessary measures for the adaptation of this plan. It's a very broad sentence. And they're describing the mission and mission of ISF. Uh, the most important thing in this mission is to disarm and demilitarize Gaza from all armed factions, all armed groups, and find and destroy their uh, weapons and their military infrastructure. And there's a very distinctive word: permanent decommissioning. All right, permanent. Uh, as military, we know this word, decommissioning. I mean, there's no temporary. There's no temporary disarmament or putting arms in some depots or uh, somewhere. It will not happen. There will be a temporary, which means in Gaza there will be no guns, no armed groups, no armed factions except ISF.
And the
This is
police force.
the paragraph.
But we see that there is no any progress yet. I mean, the peace board hasn't been established. The international security force has not been generated yet. There is no any transitional authority, the technocratic Palestinian authority in Gaza yet. So do you think that the plan will work? What are the expectations or concerns about the implementation of the plan?
Yeah, for Israeli side, it works. Uh, at least the first step, the release of uh, hostages, 28 or 48 hostages has been released, most of them. Only, I think, three dead bodies has been still trying to be found by Hamas, and the ceasefire is in place. There are some minor breaches, but the ceasefire is in effect. And Israel put a yellow line, and they set up a yellow line, and they are now conducting operations beyond this line. And
They are accused also for killing civilians in Gaza.
sorry?
The Israelis are still accused of killing civilians in Gaza.
Yeah, they said that we are retaliating Hamas attacks against the IDF. However, the conditions looks in favor of Israel, but it doesn't because the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking against Israel because Hamas is consolidating its power within Gaza, and they start controlling the civilian population, and they are demonstrating their power within the civilian population. So, if in a near term, if IDF cannot be established and go into Gaza, Gaza will be under full control of Hamas again. So this is a nightmare for Israel. So now humanitarian situation is getting worse because the winter is approaching. Everywhere is floods and muds, and people do not have proper houses. They are still living in tents, and this is another uh, this is another problem. And United States set up a core headquarters, which is called Civilian Military Coordination Center. All those officers are coming from CENTCO and 200 officers. And immediately, all the European countries jumped in. They sent their officers there. And this headquarters has been established within Israel, and they are working. And they are working on two different issues. First is to situational awareness of Gaza for the future coming troops, mainly ISF, and the other is coordinating the humanitarian aid and try to keep the roads open and so on. But the 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 other mission, which is not mentioned within CMCC, is to try to make a trying to create the structure for ISF. I mean, you worked in. It's not a one-day decision to send thousands of troops to somewhere, and there will be some force lists, capability lists, and the regions of responsibility, and then there are many things. There are many documentary, and at that time, also they are convincing nations to contribute into this force. Uh, there are some caveats on this road, on this force. First caveat: the force must be Muslim. The first contributing nation must be Muslim or Arab country. The other caveat: there will be no Western boots on the ground on Gaza. Everyone understands that there will be no acceptance in Gaza any French or American or British boots. So now they are squeezed by trying to create a force. They are made. Yes, the mission is clear by the UN resolution, but they cannot find proper troops to do this mission.
Who decided on the caveats?
No one
Is
decided.
it Israel
No,
and
no one
Egypt?
decided. No one decided, but this is the reality on the ground. If you want to do this mission on Gaza, you cannot send British or American troops on the ground. United States has a clear decision not to step into Gaza. For this is a decision of United States, but I'm sure that all those Western nations has the same caveat. They don't want to send their soldiers in such a hostile environment because it's obvious that they will have casualties, and the only nations that can deal with Hamas is Muslim nations and Arab nations. And now let's come to this point. The three nations' names has been spelled, uh, in as a participating nation to ISF. Openly spelled as Egypt, Azerbaijan, and Indonesia. Indonesia already declared that Sharm el-Sheikh that they can send 20,000 troops to Gaza, and Azerbaijan is an ally and acceptable to Israel, and Egypt is the natural troop contributing country which has the border with Gaza. But Americans are distressed by the reality that none of the nations has. Please excuse. Please ask them to excuse me for this. Judge, but none of those countries can execute such a mission. Turkish army worked in several conflicts, starting with Balkans, Bosnia, Kosovo, Somalia, Afghanistan. And United States Army has worked with Turkish army within all those conflicts, and they witnessed the professionalism and the abilities and capabilities of the Turkish army. So they want Turkish forces within this force, and they know that Turkish army is far capable from those countries as well. But Israel has very spectacle for Turkish soldier on Gaza. So they always put caveats that there will be no Turkish soldier, no Qatari soldier on Gaza. But the main question arises. If you don't want a Turkish soldier on Gaza, who is going to do this job? It doesn't mean that Turkish soldier is going to force Hamas to disarm, or they will take forcefully their arms, but they have the capacity to negotiate and move forward. Maybe voluntarily can take over. But now the situation is stuck, and Israelis says no. Americans insist, and by the way, the latest president's latest statement is like dragging our feet for contributing the ISF. I think it's a good policy because we are not going to be there for producing any potential threat to Israel, but we may contribute to global, not regional peace. This is the latest situation. And on the other hand, there are a lot of nations try to go into the stage. The important one is the Arab Emirates, and they will provide money, and also they are claiming the Saudis are claiming the leadership within the Arab world and within the larger Middle East, and Emirates always an active player on the stage, and I think it will be there are two ways in the Gaza. Yeah, if this plan manages to succeed, it will be in benefit of all the region, including the Palestinians. There are many questions rising about the future of Palestinian state, two-state solution. Uh, all those questions has been postponed. But first, we have to provide shelter to Gazan people. We have to provide them a living environment, and then open the roads for the humanitarian aid, provide them security, and then and the basic conditions for living. Uh, I think this is the most important step to achieve.
So this is the precondition of the ceasefire, the humanitarian aid. There are some aid going into Gaza, but the amount of the foods or other supplies are quite below the requirements because of the security checks at the crossing points. But it may recover in the coming days. We don't know. The key issue is the disarmament of Hamas. Hamas hasn't agreed on this, but the regional countries in Sharm el-Sheikh stated that they will convince Hamas for the disarmament. So I don't know how they will do it. It seems like that it is the mission of the ISF, the International Stabilization Force, as you have also rightly put it out, that other countries, I mean, countries other than Turkey, may not be able to do it. I don't know the capacity of Indonesia and Egypt. They may have forces, they may have some experience in international missions, but the credibility of those countries and their armed forces cannot be compared with the credibility of the Turkish armed forces. So another point, the deployment of foreign troops, I mean the Western forces, the United States or European countries. I didn't know that they decided not to do so. It seemed to me that the United States wanted to send troops, and the European Union also was in favor of sending some forces to Gaza. But with the recent developments, they might have changed their opinion. Maybe they might have considered that the Hamas will be disarmed before the creation of the International Stabilization Force. So it is the most challenging issue. So on the other side, Israel is now holding 55 or 58% of Gaza still. The yellow line is Israel control, under Israel control, and it constitutes the area in the eastern part of this line constitutes the 58% of all Gaza. Israel has already started constructing military infrastructure buildings into that line. And there are also some skepticism about whether Israel is not going to withdraw from that region, and they are not temporarily controlling that region, but they want to stay permanently. And in the future, when the conditions favor them, they may still have an intention to annex this part of Gaza to Israel. So there are a lot going on the ground. The mistrust still in place, and it really is difficult to achieve progress. But what surprised me is the peace board. It hasn't been created yet. President Trump is the head of the board. According to his plan, Tony Blair, the former UK Prime Minister, would be one of the members of the board, but there are no other names. And the peace board is the main authority, as you have just mentioned in the United Nations plan, Article 4 authorizes this board to initiate the process in Gaza. So why it hasn't been still established or constituted yet?
No, you maybe you don't know that it has been established, but for me, it has been established months before this agreement, and even I know even the names of the departments under this board of peace. It's a Actually, it's a board of billionaires. Yeah, board of billionaires. Yes, Trump puts at each section as a billionaire. For example, for the reconstruction department, uh, there's an Egyptian billionaire. For the humanitarian aid, it's not a billionaire, but a former Netherlands minister. And then on the other hand, the contracts and that all those businessmen have good relations with, not good relations, also financial relations with the Saudis and also Gulf states. They're they're they have the authority to manage billions of dollars funds and investment funds, and that they put together into board of peace because the main idea is to create peace through trade, economic unity, not only in Gaza but in a broader Middle East, interconnectivity, intertrade, and so making a league of nations who are trading each other and creating welfare for their nations, and then so blocking China from denying China from the region, and also banning Russia from south, denying China. I use this word as military terms. It doesn't have the civilian word. Denying China from the Middle East through trade, and they have very good allies. You already seen that the Saudi prince visit to United States, Saudis, Qataris, and Emirates, and everybody's pouring money for this vision. This is the vision of the United States, which will create some new trade rules from India to Middle East, to the Mediterranean, and so on. And Gaza is just a small piece, small potato within this plan, and everybody is eager to. Of course, it has deep uh, historical and religious background, but for Trump administration, it's just a small potato. They have to do it by money, by investing, and they have a 3D plan from the very beginning. 3D plan is first disarm, de-radicalize, de-radicalize the people, and then development. And if you provide these 3Ds, there will be no wars, there will be trade, there will be economic development, and all the region will be connected to each other. I'm not talking about Gaza, Israel, Saudis, but including Syria, Iraq, maybe later Iran, and their vision is something like that. All right, I
Yes.
think we talked too much. You can
Okay.
close up, I suppose.
Okay. We discussed the one of the hotspots of the world, the Gaza issue. The peace is agreed, but there is no serious progress. Only ceasefire is holding. It is partially holding. Indeed, we cannot say that it's completely holding. And the prospects of the peace agreement is still not very clear for many people. Parties have different understandings of the peace agreement, and we will continue to monitor, and maybe we will speak on this matter with my colleague again in the coming days. Thank you very much for taking the time and contributing to the program.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.